Hey everyone. Uh, I want you to think about something for a second. Really think about it. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and felt genuinely good about what you saw? Not just acceptable, not just okay enough, actually good. The kind of good where you catch yourself and think, wait, I look amazing. The kind that makes you stand a little taller. The kind that makes you feel powerful. That feeling, a lot of people go months or even years without experiencing it consistently. Welcome back. It's Anna. And today I want to talk about something that might be building in your life right now. This transformation that's happening, whether you're fully aware of it or not. Not because I can predict your future, but because there are patterns in personal evolution and self-development that a lot of people experience. And understanding these patterns might help you recognize what's happening in your own life. Let me explain what I mean by this. You may be in a period right now where you've been feeling stuck, maybe disappointed with where you are, maybe frustrated that you're not where you thought you'd be by now, maybe looking at yourself and your life and feeling like something's missing. Some people experience this frustration as a kind of quiet desperation. They look at others who seem to have it all together, the appearance, the money, the confidence, and wonder why it's not clicking for them yet. They work hard, they try, but the results don't match the effort. It might feel like you're scrolling through social media and seeing people living these elevated lives, and there's this quick spike of something is less than hash zero, 5 hashes greater than envy, maybe. And then you close the app. Tell yourself it doesn't matter. Tell yourself to focus on your own journey. Tell yourself comparison is pointless. Let's pause for a moment, because I want you to check in with yourself. This reflection invites you to consider, have you been feeling like you're on the verge of something but you can't quite name what it is? You may have been dismissing that feeling, telling yourself you're imagining it, that nothing's really changing, that you're the same person you've always been. But that restlessness, that sense that something's building, that's your intuition telling you a different story than your current circumstances are showing. It's possible you're closer to a breakthrough than you realize, and the version of you that's about to emerge, hottest and richest you've ever been, is already forming. You just can't see it yet. Some people spend months making small, invisible changes, and then suddenly, seemingly overnight, everything clicks. And they look different, they feel different, they move through the world differently, and people notice. But that overnight transformation, it wasn't overnight at all. It was accumulation. This reflection invites you to consider, what small changes have you been making that you've been dismissing as insignificant? Let me talk about what being the hottest version of yourself actually means. It's possible. It's not what you think. It's not about conforming to some external standard. It's not about looking like someone else or fitting into a specific mold. Some people think hot means a certain body type or face structure or style, but real attractiveness, the kind that makes people's heads turn, comes from energy, from confidence, from someone who looks like they know exactly who they are and they're not apologizing for it. You may have been focusing on the wrong things, the physical changes, the external markers, but what's about to shift for you is deeper than that. It can feel like you're standing in front of your closet trying on the same clothes you've always worn, and suddenly they fit differently. Not because the clothes changed, because you changed. Your posture, your energy, the way you carry yourself. This reflection invites you to consider, how would you move through the world if you truly believed you were magnetic, There's something about self-perception that's worth exploring here. It's possible you've been seeing yourself through old eyes, through the lens of who you used to be, through past rejections or disappointments or moments when you felt less than. Some people carry an outdated image of themselves in their mind. They achieved something, they changed something, they evolved, but their mental picture didn't update, so they still see the old version when they look in the mirror. You may be looking at yourself right now and seeing someone who's still becoming, still improving, still not quite there yet, but other people, they might already be seeing someone who's arrived. This reflection invites you to consider, what if the person you're becoming is already visible to everyone but you? It might change how you show up if you could see yourself the way others are starting to see you. More confident, more put together, more attractive. Let me talk about what being the richest version of yourself actually means. It's possible the money you've been waiting for is already in motion, not magically, not cosmically, but practically, because of decisions you made weeks or months ago that are about to pay off. Some people don't connect their current actions to future results. They apply for something and forget about it. They start building something and don't see immediate returns, so they assume it's not working. They plant seeds and get impatient before anything sprouts. You may have planted more seeds than you realize. Job applications, skill development, network building, financial discipline. And those seeds, they're about to break ground. It can feel like nothing's happening for the longest time, and then suddenly opportunities start appearing. An email you weren't expecting, a call that changes things, a door opening that you didn't even know existed. This reflection invites you to consider, what have you been building quietly that you've stopped believing will pay off? There's something about timing that's worth exploring here. It's possible you're currently in the gap, the space between effort and result, between planting and harvest. And that gap can feel brutal. It can make you question everything, make you wonder if you're wasting your time. Some people quit right before the breakthrough. They've been pushing and nothing's happening and they're exhausted and they decide it's not worth it anymore and they stop. Right before everything was about to shift, you may be tempted to give up right now, to stop trying, to settle for less because at least it's certain. But what if you're literally weeks away from the version of your life you've been working toward? This reflection invites you to consider, what would you regret not seeing through? It might be the exact thing that's frustrating you right now, the thing that feels like it's taking too long, the thing you're losing faith in. Let me talk about what the hottest and richest version of you actually looks like in practice. It's possible it shows up in small ways first. You notice you're getting compliments more often. People are responding to you differently. Doors are opening in conversations that used to feel closed. Some people experience this shift as suddenly being taken more seriously at work, in social settings, in dating, like something changed in how people perceive them, even though they can't quite identify what. You may find yourself in rooms you used to feel out of place in, and suddenly you belong, not because the rooms changed, because you did. Your energy, your presence, your belief in your right to be there, it can feel disorienting at first. Like, wait, is this really happening? Because you've spent so long feeling like you were on the outside looking in, and now you're inside, and it's not as hard as you thought it would be. This reflection invites you to consider, what would change if you started treating yourself like someone who's already arrived? There's something about wealth consciousness that might be relevant here too. It's possible your relationship with money is shifting. You're making different decisions. saying no to things that drain you, saying yes to investments in yourself, thinking longer term instead of just surviving paycheck to paycheck. Some people stay broke not because they don't make money, but because they think like broke people. They spend emotionally. They avoid looking at their finances. They don't plan. They don't invest. They just react. You may have been operating that way for a long time, but something's different now. You're asking better questions, making smarter choices, positioning yourself for accumulation instead of just getting by. This reflection invites you to consider, how has your relationship with money changed in the last few months? And how might those changes compound into something significant if you keep going? Let me slow down here and talk about something important. The title says you're going to be the hottest and richest you've ever been. But I need to be really clear. That's only true if you keep doing the work. If you don't self-sabotage when things start going well. If you don't retreat back into old patterns because growth feels uncomfortable. Some people get right to the edge of their breakthrough and panic. They unconsciously sabotage it. They pick fights. They quit jobs. They make destructive choices because success feels unfamiliar and unfamiliar feels unsafe. You may need to watch for that in yourself. Pay attention to the moments when things are going well and you feel the urge to blow it up, to prove that you're not worthy of good things, to confirm the old story about yourself. Because not all resistance comes from outside. Some resistance comes from the part of you that's terrified of outgrowing your old identity. This reflection invites you to consider, what old identity are you holding on to that might be preventing your evolution? It might help to name it, to see it clearly. So when it shows up trying to pull you back, you can recognize it for what it is. Fear, not truth. There's something about your own standards that's relevant here. It's possible the version of you that's emerging has higher standards for how you're treated, what you accept, what you tolerate, who you spend time with, what you consume, how you spend your time and energy. Some people discover that as they level up, their old life doesn't fit anymore. The friends who used to feel fine now feel draining. The job that was good enough now feels limiting. The relationship that was comfortable now feels unfulfilling. You may experience some loss as you grow, not because you're becoming a bad person, but because you're becoming a different person. And different people need different environments to thrive. This reflection invites you to consider, what or who might you need to release to become the person you're meant to be? And how might that release actually be a gift rather than a loss? Let me talk about what you might actually need to do to accelerate this transformation. It's possible you need to start acting like the person you're becoming before you feel like that person. Dress better even when you're staying home. Invest in yourself even when money's tight. Speak with authority even when you feel uncertain. Some people wait to feel confident before acting confident, but that's backwards. Confidence comes from acting despite the fear, from proving to yourself that you can show up even when you're uncomfortable. You may need to fake it before you make it, not in a dishonest way, but in a try on the energy of the person you're becoming and see how it feels way. This reflection invites you to consider, what would the hottest, richest version of you do differently today? And what's stopping you from doing that right now? There's something about belief that I need to address directly. It's possible reading this has stirred up doubt. Doubt that this could actually happen for you. Doubt that you're special enough or talented enough or lucky enough for this kind of transformation. And I want to be really gentle here, but also really honest. Your doubt is not evidence. Your past is not your future. And the fact that it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. Some people spend their whole lives doubting themselves, right up until the moment everything changes. And then they look back and realize the doubt was just noise. It wasn't real information. It was just fear pretending to be wisdom. You may need to be honest with yourself about whether your doubt is protecting you or limiting you, whether it's keeping you safe or keeping you small. This reflection invites you to consider what would become possible if you stopped believing your doubt. Because there's a difference between healthy skepticism and using disbelief as armor against disappointment. Let me talk about what happens if the transformation takes longer than you want. It's possible you're reading this and hoping it means everything's about to change immediately, but I need to be really clear. Growth rarely happens on our preferred timeline. It happens when it happens. What I can tell you is that every day you invest in becoming better, physically, mentally, financially, compounds. You might not see results today or tomorrow, but 6 months from now, a year from now, you'll look back and barely recognize the person you were. And if the transformation never comes in the exact way you're imagining, that doesn't mean you failed. It means life had a different version in mind, possibly a better one. Some people find this liberating. The recognition that they don't have to become some specific version of hot or rich to be worthy, that they're already valuable, already enough, and anything else is just enhancement. This reflection invites you to consider, what if you're already more attractive and abundant than you give yourself credit for? You remain in complete control of how you engage with all of this. You can hope, you can work, you can invest in yourself. Or you can decide that whether the big transformation comes or not, you're choosing to show up as your best self anyway. You're taking care of your appearance, your finances, your energy, not because you're trying to become someone else, but because you respect who you already are. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice that reading this has brought up a lot, maybe excitement, maybe fear, maybe skepticism, maybe all of it at once. Whatever it is, honor it. Let yourself feel it. Don't judge it. Take what resonates, discard what doesn't, trust what you know about your own potential. Before we close, I want to ask you something. What's one thing you could do today that the hottest, richest version of you would definitely do? Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, today. Drop it in the comments if you feel ready to name it. And what have you been doing differently lately that you haven't been giving yourself credit for? What would change if you trusted that every small improvement you make is building towards something significant? You have no idea, but you're going to be the hottest and richest you've ever been? It's possible. Some people experience exactly this, a complete transformation that seems to come out of nowhere, but was actually building all along. But also, you might already be hotter and richer than you realize. By recognizing your own growth, by honoring your own progress, by choosing to see yourself as someone who's constantly evolving into something better. Not eventually, right now, today. Trust yourself with this. Trust that the work you're doing matters. If the big transformation comes, you'll be ready for it. If it takes longer than you want, you're still improving every single day. You don't need some dramatic makeover or windfall to be valuable. You're already becoming. I'll see you in the next one. And listen, the best version of hot and rich isn't about how you look or what you have. It's about how you feel about yourself, how you carry yourself, how you show up. Start there. Everything else is extra.